There's another comp reservoir sort of pattern. With a slightly different twist to it, hopefully. So I'll go with a size 10 B175 for this. So just a nice strong wet fly hook. And this was a cruncher pattern I invented for Farmall. And it's worked a treat, and I know some comp teams that have sort of stolen it and still use it now. So it's
what do you normally fish that in combination with, Lee?
anything really, well,
Yeah,
all sorts really, just sort of point fly or whatnot. I more usually use it as a small water pattern
right,
normally,
okay,
but
yeah.
you can use it on there. So black thread, size 10 hook. This is a cruncher pattern, so I'm going to run the thread to the bend. We get some black cock hackle for a tail. So I'll just take out we've only got a few fibres for a tail really, I'll take out a feather. So I'll get rid of a lot of the stuff at the bottom. So tease some fibres out and line up the tips. Peel it off. So that was a tail. So this one really has got a fiddly quirk at the end of it. So here we go. So we use so that tail is a smidge too long if you wanted to do like traditional proportions. So tail on top, tie that in, cut it off, cut the butts of the hackle fibres off with a flat cut. And then the abdomen on this, we're just going to use a black dubbing. I normally use, I didn't bring any, but just like a black rabbit. But I've got some synthetic, just a synthetic black fine dubbing. So just a tiny bit of that. So this is a black and silver, it's called, which is just a black and silver is a very classic colour combination. You know, it's a trout approved colour system. So that hasn't gone very well. Nice. Obviously, the original cruncher was it's basically a pheasant's tail. So we've got no rib or anything, just a black abdomen. I quite often just like going with the patterns I did start off with, go right the way to the eye, and then basically you've got a foundation. I can come back now to where my tying in point at the back of the thorax, and the dub in from the abdomen is like a foundation to continue on from. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie in a few wing buds. So unfortunately I would normally use ordinary silver, but I couldn't find any, so we're going to have to go with medium holographic, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So we'll just get some silver holographic, cut it in half if you want. So we can have a silver wing cheek each side. So I'm just going to tie, put it where I want it, plonk my thumb on it. The closer you can, whenever tying in materials, if you're sort of holding it back here and you're trying to tie the tip in, that's where obviously the thread will push it out of the way every time. So the closer you can have your finger and thumb to the tying in point, the less chance there is of it escaping. So if you can get your finger and thumb right on it, you can hold it in position, a few loose thread wraps, and then pile on the pressure. So that's that one, that side. I've lost it, there we go. So, same that side. And I can't really see what I'm doing, so I'll have to check. So, let's pull round a little bit. So there we go. So silver. And if you want to, you can get in your proportions right. I'll run the thread back to where I think the thorax wants to be. I can fold the wing bud forward and you can sort of get a rough idea, you know, check, is that proportion right? You know, you happy with that there? So yeah, I'm happy with that there. So now I just need a little bit more dubbing. I'm going to dub the thorax. So this wants to be a little bit fatter than the abdomen, obviously. So we could have stuck with the same theme. I could have tied the hackle in at the start as well if I wanted to, really. So just a little bit more dubbing. Slide it out. I don't like this dubbing much. I wish I'd done some rabbit. If I haven't got any black rabbit dubbing, I quite often just use a bit of Zonka strip and just rip off some bits of that. It makes nice dubbing. So there we go. So a nice little thorax. So now what we do is fold the silver wing buds forwards. So that one's cool. Fold that one forward. Just check both sides before you continue. Alright, I'm happy with that. So I think the original crunchers used to use a cock hackle at the front, but we're going to use a hen because it's got a lot more movement to it. So we're getting another one of these. Let's have a look at that one. That's way too long. So I'm going to check the fibre length. That's probably too long. It should be somewhere handy. So I've selected my feather. Peel off the rubbishy bits you don't want on the bottom. Offer that into the little head section as well. You hold it flat on top of the hook shank, get a soft turn on that, tighter turn up to the end, fold that back, so it's belt and braces then, tied in twice. You've got to try and keep the head as small as possible on this. I can see how that hackle's it's sort of not sat right, so I'll do that again.
With this type of wet fly, did you always tie in by the stalk rather than the tip?
Yeah, on crunchers, crunchers and that, I always tied it in by the stalk, I don't know why. So there we go. So I can trim off the stalk. So this is a bit, we've got to make sure we've got to keep the head small. And you'll see why in a minute. We're going to do another tinsel trick in a minute. So I'll get my hackle pliers, crease the feather, do a few turns at the head. wiggle the thread through. Just trim that off there. So have a little tidy up, use your finger and thumb to tease the fibres back. And then we're going to whip finish on that. Oh, tractor fibre. So I know there are a few teams that have pinched this pattern and use it a lot in the comps. Tie it on a size 12 more commonly than not. So we haven't quite finished there. This is just another silver tinsel. This is the on a wooden spool, Sabai one. It's really sort of soft. It seems to be softer than like the holographics and that. So like we did earlier, whip finishing on the head, it makes it a lot easier to whip finish. So the easiest way to do it, like we did before, no, not in that one, is to whack it in a bobbin holder. Talk to yourself a minute while I was trying to. So, the secret to this is give yourself plenty to work with. So, unspool a nice big amount. Lay that on one side. Stick a bit of your old head cement on. Just helps glue it in place when it's all done. Now this takes a bit of practice. So hold the tinsel in your left hand. You can just imagine that my finger and thumb is the vice, and you put the whip finish tool as if you were going to finish the fly. So then you move your fingers to the vice, and then gently whip finish 4 or 5 turns on the head. There are easier ways to get the same sort of effect, but this is a cool way just to end up with like a proper silver head. And then very gently tease it back, put it tight at the end. This is where you definitely want your razor blade for this, because there's no way you'll get your scissors really tight for trimming off these bits. So just ping that off.
I think that's one to practice on an undressed hook job.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's black and silver cruncher.
What the?
Yeah. It's just a cool technique to practice with. It is a nice effect. So if you do that one in a branch, put a swear box on the table. That'd be good for guild funds. But it is fiddly, but it's once you get the hang of it, it's cool. But the secret is just be very delicate. That's the hardest bit, is going from there to try and manipulate. You've got to use both hands. Use your little fingers. Use all your fingers to manipulate it into.
What size tinsel would you say that is?
This is just
Fine.
flat tinsel, 0.4 millimeters. Phil Holding sells it.
Right.
Flytime Boutique, but it's just, I'll pass it around. It's just a lot softer than the
It'll be a
ordinary
lot
tinsel.
smaller when you get it back.
Yeah, no, I've measured it. I've measured it. I know how much is on there. So, but it's a bit like the deal backs. It's just a quirky way, cool way to finish them off there. I don't know where that is actually. That's disappeared already.
Yeah.
Onion, I'll just check that down here. So there you go, black and silver. And it was a cracker at Farmore. I started fishing that at Farmore, and it worked really well at Farmore, and it seems to have sort of worked pretty well everywhere else since, really. But that's it, I've run out of fry pans now, so hopefully that's worked out about right.